Cool. Hi guys. So I'm not professional. I'm not a content creator. I've never recorded before. I'm probably not going to record again. I'm not even particularly good at Path of Exile 1 nor Path of Exile 2. However, I've got what I think is a good build. I found it easy to get into. It is simple. You don't need any uniques. You can all be done through rares. And I just wanted to share the build. I'm also re-recording this because I did it once before, took far too long, and I hated how often I said So I might pause a bit because I'm really trying to not use filler sounds. I hope it doesn't come across as too forced. I can't stand it when I do that, so surely you guys wouldn't either. No script for this one either, because my last script was still too long. So let's get down to it. I'm going to start off with skills, then I'm going to show you a clip of me mapping that I think lasts between 4 and 5 minutes. Then I'll go through my passives, and then I'll go through my gear. Oh, it's so difficult to not use these filler sounds. It feels unnatural to me, but let's stick with it. So let's start off with the skills. So what are we first of all? What is the build? Maybe I should explain what the build is. Sorry. So we are an Avatar of Fire Earthshatter Warbringer. So basic stuff is your Earthshatter, explode it, Earthshatter, explode it. Simple stuff, use Forge Hammer, explode that. Earthshatter triggers the Forge Hammer again. You repeat that. Things die, you live. That's what it is. Beautiful. Simple in its elegance, man. Simple in its elegance. The skills. You'll note I've got quite a few plus levels from gear, and I've got a level 21 corrupt gem. You don't need that. Obviously, at endgame, that's fantastic to get, but you don't need it to begin with. It's quite a cheap build to get on its feet. I think I got to T15 maps on, what, less than 100x? So that is cheap, man. So yeah. Anyway, first main skill, Earthshatter, your main damage skill. You use Kaon's Madness. Super simple. You get 3 additional fissures. More fissures, more damage. I just used a filler sound. Ignore that. 30% less area of effect. It's fine. I've never felt like I need more area of effect. Maybe you could tweak this build better. Maybe you want to focus on area of effect. I personally find it fine. Avatar of Fire, so naturally fire attunement is just more fire damage. Rapid attacks too, because we want more attack speed. Again, very simple. Elemental Armament 2, we only do fire damage. This is just 25% more attack damage for us. Rakiata's Flow, the man, the myth, the legend, the meme. If you can't afford Rakiata's Flow, just use Fire Penetration 2. It's nowhere near as good, but it is by no means bad. Just use that. That'll get you through all content, basically. Forge Hammer, again, fire attunement. Fist of War 2. You don't even need Fist of War 2, to be honest. Look at the cooldown time. I'm pretty sure that cooldown time down there is longer than the cooldown time for Fist of War 1. So you could just use that. And it means that every time you use this skill, it's going to be ancestrally boosted, which gives it 30% more damage, 25% increased area of effect, and makes it look beautiful. So basic. That speaks for itself, rather. Elemental Armament 2, I said again. Elemental Armament 2, 25% more elemental attack damage. You only do fire damage, it's just 25% more damage. Fire Penetration 2, you can only have 1 lineage support copy per character. So for Forge Hammer, Fire Penetration 2. Elemental Focus, let's face it, this build is going to focus on hits. You don't need to worry about Forge Hammer not igniting enemies. If you need Ignite, then Earthshatter will have you covered. It deals pure fire damage. It hits hard. You're going to ignite stuff, right? Infernal Cry, it's the only war cry you use, really. At least I do. I say level it up. Don't leave it at level 3, because at level 3, I think it's 32% extra damage as fire when you empower an attack. When you look at the passive tree, you'll see we empower every attack, or at least one attack per war cry. So you want more damage. You level it up. Level it up, man. The build can hack it. Your health can hack it. You can see I've got no mana. I've gone all in on the health. For mana costs, you can hack it. It's fine. Level it up for that more damage. You can see with the extra 10% in quality as well, 58% of damage is extra fire damage for every attack. On a boss or unique, that's going to empower 2 attacks as well. Just level it up, man. Raging Cry, because I've got the passive that has war cries as a minimum 10 power, that gives 8 rage every time, and you're basically at max rage just because of the playstyle. Really strong, another 30% more damage. Magnified Area 2, you want more area of effect so that you can trigger Forge Hammer, that you can trigger Earthshatter from further away. It's just really good. Less cost, just because, why not? It was a 4 link, so I've put less cost in. This is the most important skill for this second win 3, because we're Warbringer. We're going to choose the Ascendancy that ignores cooldown usage for war cries, and ignore is the key word. We don't get rid of it, we ignore it. My war cry has over 10 seconds cooldown time. I regenerate 20% of my life every time I use it, and I can use it 3 times a second, so it's very powerful for sustain. The Spirit Reservation, I've got Magma Barrier. You might have noticed I've got a 2-hand mace and a shield. I just want the extra block, including from the quality, so that's all I'm using that for. I think it's worth it. That gets me to 48% block, which is only 2% shy of max block. What more could you want? Time of Need, the man, the myth, the legend, absolute classic. 500 life, removes curses and elemental ailments. I've got compressed duration 2 on there, so it goes off about every 7 seconds. And I also have precision 1, purely because I had 10 spirit left. You can basically ignore accuracy for this build. I've never had an issue. It's just use up the remaining spirit. And scavenged plating, absolute goated spirit using skill. When you see the map footage, you'll note that this is at max stacks pretty much constantly, so it's essentially a constant 40% more armor, and I've got more skill effect duration in there just so it lasts longer. I also have Ancestral Cry, because Earthshatter still ignites. You still get quite a few ignites off. You get glory for this skill. In theory, it's a good DPS increase for bosses. I keep on forgetting to click it. I've got more skill effect duration in there, so it does last longer when I do remember, but man, it would probably be better if I could finesse my gear more to get 30 more spirit. Then I could use a banner instead. I'm sure that would be much more effective. Perhaps that's how you want to play it. So that's the skills. The gameplay is essentially exploding, if I can remember the buttons correctly, exploding at your Earth Shatter. Every now and again, your Forge Hammer explode. Works very well. It's not the fastest build. You have to stop. There are some issues that I'll show you here. If an enemy's in an odd location, hopefully this comes across. You see, I'm not generating all the spikes. If I misclick, I don't generate the spikes at all. If the enemy's in that gap, I'm not hitting them at all. That is a slight issue sometimes. You just have to get used to it. Work on the positioning. If that fails, you've always got Forge Hammer, which hits a bit better. So that's the skill gems. That's the supports I use. Let me go over to, where is it? My path of building. So I take too long in this section, man. So I'm just going to go quite quick. I'm not going to prescribe what you get and when. If you look over to the side here, you'll see that my full DPS is almost 500k. So that's because I've got it set up that to always count 4. because I think for a boss you can pretty much rely on the fact that it's going to overlap 4 times. The attack speed in here is faster than in game, so I'm not really sure why that is. This might not be fully representative. For a boss, I usually put 2 Earthshatters in because you get 2 empowers off. So use both empowered things, then trigger them. It's closer to 1,000,000 DPS. I think that's exaggerated, but it is strong. And if I just show you my config, if you see down here, I think that should still be visible for you guys. I don't know why, but path of building block for me was not working. So I've had to say that I've got a maximum block chance of 50%, and I've just increased. The block chance wasn't reflective of in-game either, so I had to just give myself 30% increased block chance here. I think it's not taking into account magma barrier properly, and you'll see there I've got the 48% block chance. I've got penetrate 100% fire resistance because that doesn't impact having Rakiata's flow in Earthshatter, but that does impact when I originally had fire penetration 2, and it will impact the Forge Hammer DPS as well. Or does it? Because that's not accurate. It does a lot more damage than that. I don't know what's going on there. So it's, my path of building isn't perfectly set up, but it's quite representative. So what have I got? I've got factored in that I've always got max stacks of scavenged plating. I have the take 10% reduced physical damage. That's from the stacks of jade that you always have as well. So that's why my EHP is so high. It's 56,000. That's pretty damn accurate. It's a very tanky build. I also have that the enemy's shocked. They are not, but path of building does not support this one, the Molten One's Gift, where fully broken armor effect also applied fire damage taken from hits. Fully broken armor gives you 20% more physical damage from hits, so this is essentially, because you only deal fire damage, it's like the enemy shocked when their armor's broken, in a sense, so that's what I've just done it as, and that's why the damage is higher than it might be in yours if you don't put that in. So just the description of how I've got it set up. Again, you can see very tanky build. I'm level 90. If I get 1 more point, so my next level, I'm going to go for Prism Guard. That puts me up to almost 60k. Very tanky build. So, we're Avatar of Fire. Switch to Avatar of Fire. Put into Avatar of Fire. When you get a weapon that has, as you can see here, you want an increased elemental damage with attacks. We have very little increased damage on the tree. In fact, we've only got 1 source, which is brute strength. So, which is a decent amount because we have a lot of strength. We stack strength because we're also using Giant's Blood. So, that's a good source of damage. But that's the only increased damage we have on the tree. Everything else is from our jewels, which I've got 4 of. You see, I use increased fire damage. I use increased damage from maces. I use increased melee damage. That's where you get your increased damage from. So, elemental damage with attacks on a weapon is a global buff. It's not a local buff, so that is a massive for us. You get a weapon with some fire damage on as well, you cush do. So, the way I did it is I went straight for Giant's Blood. I go down here. I get Urgent Call. I like the Warcry speed. I've got increased armor and armor to elemental damage down here. Temper defenses, very good. I've already gone over. I've got Molten One's Gift so that when I break armor, it applies to fire damage. I, of course, have brute strength. I've got all of the strength I can get. I've got beef. Basically, every node on here is strength. I've got this because it's plus 10 strength. I only have 2 plus intelligences on here. I'm pretty sure I could actually change them to strength now that I've got it in my gear. Oh, sorry, there's a 3rd. So yeah, it's very strength heavy. I've also got this for armor break up here. I have blood magic. Again, this is probably why I say again, I don't know if I've mentioned it. It's probably not a starter build because once you have Second Wind 2, you go blood magic and everything feels so good, man. So definitely better as a second character. Blood magic is fantastic when you get Second Wind support 3 rather. and that really pops off when you've got your Ascendancy for Warcaller's Bellow to ignore War Cry cooldowns. This is how I always get a minimum of 8 rage on my War Cries. This is why my attacks are always at least 1 empowered, Roaring Cries. Additionally, Titanic, really good for increased strength and stun build up. You stun a boss, you stun a boss, you stun everything. You stun bosses really quickly. It's just really good. What else have I got on here? I think that's it for down here. I've got some attack speed or skill speed and attack speed because it's a slow build. So on here it says 1.54, but if I go back to Path of Exile 2 itself and go to my Earthshatter, in here it's only 1.23. I don't know why it's higher in Path of Building, but it is not a fast build. So you want, where am I? You want attack speed where you can get it, which is why I've also gone viciousness up here just for some more melee attack speed. Up here I've got armor and energy shield. I really like this one because you defend with 120% armor while not on low energy shield. If you see the mapping video, quite often you're not on low energy shield, so you're just using 120% of armor. This is really neat. You want yet faster energy shield recharge, and you want, covering ward gives you recharge rate, and that 20 energy shield when you block carries quite hard. It's a really good feeling skill. I highly recommend it. You just got to feel it, man. It works really well, especially with our high block chance. You essentially half the time you're not taking any damage, you're gaining 20 energy shield. Just works really well. I've also gone down here just to spiral into depression. It's a great name. It's what I'm feeling like at the moment. Just more armor, energy shield, a bit of movement speed. It's what I want, man. I went up here as well. Ancient Aegis, however you pronounce that. That's good. You get good body armor. You can see it gives you a high EHP. Adamant Recovery is very good as well because you've got such a high increased percentage of armor from the tree, 252%. This gives you a lot of recharge speed. So if I go back and you check my energy shield, you can see I've got a 2-second recharge delay. That is due to the passive tree and my gear, which we'll go over later. But also my recharge per second is 1,221. So in a little over 3 seconds, my energy shield is back to max. Core of the Guardian, this is only really worth it once you get a good shield. Without that, it doesn't give you too much benefit, but you can see for me, that one node gives me almost 3k EHP. In fact, with the first node, pardon me, it does give me about 3k EHP. So for me, I think that's worth it. I had thought about going down here to lay siege because, as I said, we don't have much increased damage. We've got almost 50% block chance, so that's a lot of extra damage. And because we've already almost got max block chance, I don't think you need the extra shield block. So you can go all in on the shield damage nodes for a total of almost 80% increased. But that's a lot of points to go down to. It's quite far away from everything else. What I have done instead is I've anointed Chakra of Thought. We don't have any mana, so we're never on low mana. It's a constant 15% increased attack speed, which feels so good in game, right? Like, it's a slow build, you'll see from the mapping, so any attack speed you can get just feels really good. So that's it. That's the path of building. I'll put a link to this in the video. Describe the Ascendancy. So the first thing you're going to want is Warcry Speed and Warcaller's Bellow. That is so important. That enables the build. That is what gets the build going. You want that first of all. Then, whatever you're feeling like, I went for the block chance second, Renly's training. With just this and a max quality molten shell, you get, or magma barrier, whatever it's called, you get 48% block. So it's really good. Jade Heritage, I never use the active guard, but it gives you 10% increased physical damage reduction on top of your armor. And if I go back to the game, you can see I've got it at the moment. My armor's saying I've got 90% reduction. We know this isn't completely accurate, but that's still amazing. And then you need Anvil's Weight. so that you can actually break armor, get your scavenged armor stacks, and so that you can utilize the Molten One's gift and get that extra 20% fire hit damage taken. So that's the skills, that's the passives. I am now going to use my fantastic editing skills. They are non-existent. I've never done this before in my life. I'm going to use those skills to put in the video of me doing a map now.
Coward!
just paused for a bit. Hopefully I've edited that properly. You should have just seen me mapping. You can see it's quite, I mean, almost 5 minutes for a single map isn't fast. I admit that. But aside from at the beginning where I didn't really notice that that lightning shrine was empowering those enemies and I almost copped it, I hope you can tell that I really didn't care what was going on about me. So that was a T15 purely because the corruption failed. I wanted it T16. I fully slammed it with exalts. It had a never-ending delirium mirror in it. It was irradiated, which is why it was still level 80 despite being a T15. And I had multiple wisps in it. I was doing corrupt essences with quite a few modifiers on them, stuff like that. Handled it really well. I face tanked the boss, and at the moment I've been finding it difficult to get a citadel on my map, so I still haven't got more on the boss tree. So it's currently at +3 difficulty, and I just tanked it. It was quite easy. So slow but effective. And do you want to know what's really cool? If I look at the gear, absolutely no uniques. There is no reliance on uniques. You can just use rare items. And what this means is it's simple, it's brain dead. You can grug your way through things. You can just choose whatever gear you want based on what you require at the time. So I have overcapped resistances on everything. You can see I'm a bit too highly weighted at lightning. That's just how my items are at the moment. I can min-max this better. But you can see I have good resistances. It feels very good, especially combined with the armor applies to elemental hit damage. So you can see if I highlight the armor, you can see it all applying to elements as well. So very tanky. You can also see I've got 4k energy shield and I've got 2100 life. So I've got a big buffer between me and death. So if you look at my gear, this gear is multiple divines each basically. You can do well on like 100x. That's how I first got into like up to T15. This is all afterwards. So don't, so to me, multiple divines ain't cheap. I think this cost me about 30 div. I'm not a very good player. I'm either get raw currency drops, handouts from friends, or incredibly lucky. So most of the time, I don't have a lot of div. So when I see someone saying budget is 30, I think, jog on, mate. But this really is a budget build. I know I'm saying that with about 30 divs worth of stuff, maybe a bit more, but you can get decent and intermapping for a lot less. So just think about the themes more than the actual level of the gear I've got. So let's just start off with the body armor. Again, so this is all going to be simple. You just want to focus on armor, you want to focus on energy shield, you want to focus on, if you can squeeze it in, maximum life. But of course, you try and look for something too perfect, it's going to cost an arm and a leg. So I've just focused on armor, energy shield, resistances, what I need. And also for body armor, it's essential you get a faster start of energy shield recharge. That's why, in addition to my passive tree, with that body armor, I have a 2-second recharge delay. It feels so bad if you have to wait much longer. Even this, I'd prefer to be a bit shorter. So you really want that on your body armor as much as that's possible while still keeping everything else good. Helm, again, you see I've got some maximum life. I've got a little bit of rarity of item sound, not much. It's not a focus for me. I could probably min-max that a bit more. But you see, focused on resistances, armor, energy shield. Boom. Simple. Hands, I have... This could be better. But I've gone for fire damage to attacks. That has a lot of DPS. And level of all melee skills. I've got armor. I've got dexterity, maximum life, strength. I don't care about the dexterity. I'd much rather that was something else. Level of melee skills is good. I think. I mean, I can't remember what's what on here, but it would be good if that dexterity could instead be attack speed. I'm sure that would feel really good. And then ideally, I'd get enough strength to be able to have attack speed as a rune, which is very expensive, but I bet that would feel really good. So that's what I'd change about the gloves. Otherwise, it's fire damage to attack, you know, just things that are going to give you more damage. Boots, again, movement speed, resistances. What more is there for me to say? I've also got stats on it to meet my minimum requirements. You can just vary this for what you personally need. Again, I could probably make this a bit better. The chaos resistance could go on something else. I could have the move speed in the boot. I need to properly refine this. But that just shows, so it's not 100% min-maxed yet, and it does quite well. So, there you go. Belt, I want armor, so it's an armor base with added armor. Again, life, resistances. The mana roll is just an AF roll, but otherwise, it's simple itemization. The shield, armor, energy shield. Armor applies to elemental damage, which I've also got in the boots. Strength for my stats. Resistances. That's same old. The amulet, I've got stats. Resistances. Melee skills. For the amulet, if you can get global defenses and increased energy shield for your body armor, that is a huge thing. I can't take you off to show you because it disables all of my gear. Can't show you without it, but it gives you a lot more EHP. So that's something really cool to look out for. If you can't get increased global defenses and increased energy shield from equipped body armor, you can just get plus energy shield and plus an increased armor. That's also pretty good. For the rings, I have increased fire damage, elemental resistances, stats, and fire damage to attacks. The fire damage to attacks with increased fire damage, again, we don't have much increased damage in this build, so that gives you a lot more increased damage there. For the other ring, you can see stats, resistances, fire damage to attack, simple. The weapon, just a beefy two-handed mace. Ideally, this would have added fire damage. Perfectly, it wouldn't have that gain 42 mana per enemy killed. It would have a gain 33% extra damage as fire damage, which would be fantastic. But I fear that is pretty much an absolutely perfect craft. I don't know how possible it is. I'm lucky enough to have gotten this for maybe like 5 div, maybe 6 div, I think it was. It does a lot of damage. It's been corrupted for 3 slots. So yeah, it's good. It's good. So that's the gear. You can see as well, I've got a better life flask than this on another character. I don't know why I don't change it over. I keep forgetting. My charms are crap. So you really don't need to be absolutely min-maxed balls to the wall. I've got a lot of plus melee skills. I've got level 21 corrupted skill. You don't need that. Gives you a lot more damage. You really don't need that to get to a point where you feel really good at maps. So don't let that discourage you. This paper DPS on here is saying it's less than 10,000. It felt good to play when that was listed as like 4k, even 3k. Really, man, just take your time going through the maps. It'll get you to where you need to go eventually. Check the trade site. Snipe things for cheap. Snipe things for cheap because they're on there for cheap. I don't think these armor base types are quite popular. The armor and energy shield ones. So generally, I think you can find some of them quite cheap. Like I'm talking literally 1x for something that might define your build for the next like 30 odd levels or until you get into late game mapping. So there's deals out there, man. The weapon as well. I found a weapon for 20x that gave me huge DPS boost, and I couldn't find anything for ages that would be an improvement to it that didn't cost me at least 20 div. So, and I got that weapon for 20x, man. So always be on the lookout. Always be closing. Always be closing. Yeah, so hopefully this one was quicker than the other ones I've done. Hopefully I didn't waffle too much. Hopefully I've not said or too much. Don't think I've invented this build. It must have been done before, but hopefully I've explained it a bit. I've shown you why I liked it. Maybe I've inspired you. Maybe you want to try it out. And if so, then I've done my job. But yeah, I just really like the build and I wanted to share it. And I hope that you guys continue enjoying Path of Exile 2 like I have been. And I'm looking forward to more updates on this game. So yeah, cheers. That's it.